Good morning to you, and thank you so much for finding time to be with us today. The show is Good Morning Africa, just a couple of minutes past 9 a.m. here in Nairobi, East African time. A very good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're tuned and joining us from. As usual, bring us up to date with the latest on the headlines this morning, and then we shall get into our conversations. We start with the Star newspaper from Kenya. Drama, chaos, Ruto rally at Jacaranda. Rowdy youth pelt DP's convoy as he forces his way to the venue. The story is on page 4 and 5. And Uhuru dangles goodies for Akorino to back Raila. The story is what is the main pictorial there on the Star newspaper. Relief for Sakaja, Ndeti after IEBC Tribunal clears them to run. The stories on page 6. Bishops take on Wajakoya over bank campaigns. Catholic bishops yesterday broke their silence on the ongoing political campaigns and urged voters to reject outlandish proposals by the aspirants. The Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops said Kenyans should not vote for politicians proposing to destroy lives of youths through the liberalization of drug abuse. The story is on page 8. Soldier in Agnes Wanjiru murder still walking free. Investigations into the stabbing and killing of a woman in Nanyuki by a British soldier in 2012 have not progressed. A report by London-based newspaper The Sunday Times has shown the suspect in the case has yet to be arrested or questioned by the authorities. The story is on page 2. City's majestic Lion King Sirikoi to be immortalized. That story is on page 3. We turn our attention to the Standard newspaper. The main headline, why Uhuru is staying away from campaigns as President Kenyatta takes a firm stand on politics. Recent public engagements show he is holding back from campaigns and endorsements like yesterday when he met the Akorino whose platform he previously used to attack his deputy. The story is on page 8. Life of foreign lover boy, opening money taps for Kenyan girls. The story is on page 4 and 5. A bid for 2 jobs in hotel industry. The story is on page 23. Ex-CJ status quo remains no matter who wins the poll. Former Chief Justice says citizens will not see change after this year's elections. He describes Kenya Kwanza promises as mere populism and Azimio ticket as having people with good intentions but surrounded by crocodiles. The story is on page 6. Bishop warning on next leaders. And I think the same story on the Star newspaper, but on the Standard, you'll find that on page 7. Ruto party writes to poll agency over Jacaranda chaos. UDA asked the Electoral Commission to summon Inspector General of Police Hilary Mutyambai over what it termed as abuse of National Police Service by Azimio coalition. The story is on page 9. And then we look at the Daily Nation. Making over Titanic battle, that is the main headline on the Daily Nation. And the IEBC yesterday gave embattled Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja a lifeline after it dismissed all petitions against his candidacy for the Nairobi governor seat, setting the stage for a bruising battle for control of the country's richest county and seat of power, but also making a mockery of ongoing investigations into the validity of his Ugandan degree certificate. The story is on page 4. Date set for the beautification of nun who served in Meru. That is on page 3. And how man ended up with broken limbs at the hospital. That is on page 8. And then Ruto City rally marred by violence as Uhuru and Raila woo Akorino faithfuls. That is what we have inside on page 10 and page 11, and we shall look at that. We are joined by Douglas Kirimi, all the way from Meru County. Douglas, a very good morning to you.
A very good morning to you, Miriam Ogutu, to our crew at our headquarters, and also to our friends and viewers across the world. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where they're watching us from. And thank you for having me on the show, Miriam.
Okay, nice to have you. And of course, we are also joined by Gladwell Kirago, who I think is trying to make her way. She's trying to join there. Once she's able to join, we can connect, we can talk to her. There you go. Gladwell Kirago, a very good morning to you. Very well. So Gladwell is still setting up. While we are able to get through to her, we will talk to her. Okay, so let's just start from where I've stopped, and that is the headline on the Daily Nation. I think, I don't know, could this be the last time we are hearing of this Sakaja saga? And so let's just read of the latest development. Gubernatorial candidates Johnson Sakaja, Nairobi, Wavinya Ndeti, Machakos, Julius Malombe Kitui were yesterday cleared to vie for the seats after petitions challenging their clearance by the electoral agency were thrown out. The trio's wins followed Friday's clearance of Polycarp Igathe and Granton Samboja. Former Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko, who wants to be Mombasa's next governor on Wiper ticket, will know his fate today. He is challenging his rejection on the basis of impeachment, saying he had lodged an appeal at the Supreme Court, but his fate appeared sealed yesterday when the tribunal rejected Deputy President William Ruto's United Democratic Alliance Kiambu Senate candidate Karungo Thangwa. This is after the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission dispute resolution tribunal upheld his rejection, saying he had been validly impeached by the Kiambu County Assembly and could not be cleared to hold public office. But for Mr. Sakaja, his win at the tribunal came after a series of allegations over the authenticity of his decree, which he claims to have acquired from Team University in Uganda. Upholding Nairobi County Returning Officer Albert Gogo's decision to clear Sakaja, the tribunal said it could not fault him as they had no reason to doubt the authenticity of the degree presented by the senator. So I'll just read what is quoted here. This committee and IEBC have no tools to establish the authenticity of the degree certificate presented by Sakaja. And what is your thoughts on that, Douglas?
Miriam, I've always said that in this country, for you to be able to grease the wheels of life, you have to give out money, you have to be corrupt, and you have to go out of your way to get people to align with yourself. Miriam, we all know that Sakaja did not go to a university in Uganda. He has a fake degree. Granton Samboja, the governor of Taita Taveta, is also holding a fake degree from a South American university in the Caribbean. And we also know that several of these leaders who are masquerading as governors, who also have degree certificates, hold fake certificates in this country, Miriam. And it was also said that even in public service over 60% people hold fake education credentials, Miriam. The fact that in this country, led by the Independent Electoral Commission, the National Qualifications Authority, the Commission for University Education, cannot be able to prove that Sakaja holds fake university documents, shows us where the country is ended, Miriam. I've also said before that we need to be able to abolish the law that requires people to have a degree to run as governors in this country, Miriam, because crooks will go ahead and also buy these certificates and we shall do nothing. Because I think the idea was that we should have someone sober that has basics in education or some basic educational credentials so that they can be able to handle the bigger office of the of governor and maybe president, because that's where we need a degree. But Miriam, we have had a president who had no education, university education for 24 years. And largely, Miriam, by and large, even though the president himself ruined the economy of this country, he was able to pacify the peace of this country. He was able to get us respect as a country. He was able to put us at a pedestal where regionally we were respected, peace, and stability, political stability as a country, even though he was also stifling our position. But as a country, we were never attacked in the 24 years of Moi's rule externally, except for a few simas and all that. Miriam, largely, I can be able to judge the president's efforts, former President Daniel Arap Moi, who passed on few years ago, his leadership that He did not require a degree to be able to pacify this country. He did not require a degree to be able to hold peaceful negotiations with his neighbors and also stand tall in the region, because he was called the president of the region, Miriam. But for us to be able to come to the issue of Sakaja today, the same issue with the President Moi. Sakaja has also proved it to us that you can buy your education credentials and just go. Nobody can be able to prove beyond reasonable doubt that you owed fake educational credentials in this country, Miriam. What was the purpose of setting up the National Qualifications Authority? What was the purpose of setting up the Commission for University Education? What was the purpose of IEBC verification of documents of that candidates have presented? I'm disappointed this morning, and Miriam, I'm calling upon us as a country, when the next regime comes into power, which I believe is going to bring constitutional changes, we need to be able to abolish this degree requirement for president and governors, so that, Miriam, when we, the people of Kenya, or have our leaders, we don't have people like Sakaja who go ahead to commit a crime to protect their public interest to run for office and lose legitimacy in the hearts of the people. I believe so many people in this country, Miriam, have an opportunity to also now evaluate the kind of leaders that we have today. Sakaja has been writing to us that he is a student, he is a former student of the University of Nairobi. But today, Miriam, I have no doubt that Sakaja has been able to lose legitimacy in terms of also his own integrity as a leader. I'm very disappointed that in this country you can fake documents, corrupt a few officials, and get a clean bill of health and go ahead to do your things. Okay. This also shows why Granton Saboja, who faked a degree in 2017 from Kenyatta University, still holds a degree from some dubious university in the Caribbean. Today, he is running for governor using the same degree, a man that has never left this country for the Caribbean, even through online portals and all of channels that are available. Granton Saboja does not hold a valid university degree. Sakaja the same. So, Miriam, I'm calling on us as a country to reconsider that law, because some of our leaders are buying papers. People in public service, over 60% of them, when the audit was done, it had to be thrown out of the window, including those people who are sitting on that panel, Miriam, are fake degrees or fake credentials. So I'm calling upon us as a country, we should not evaluate leaders based on degrees. We should evaluate leaders based on their delivery, Miriam, because they're even going to an extent of faking credentials and buying people in the process. I'm disappointed.
All right, very well. Thank you so much. Gladwell Kiragwa, very good morning to you.
A very good morning to Miriam.
Okay, so now the IEBC, the committee that was set up to look into these decrees, said, and I'll quote, according to what the Daily Nation is saying on page 7, the committee and IEBC have no tools to establish the authenticity of the decree certificate presented by Sakaja. So they're saying they have no way, they have no tools to establish if these decrees are fake or not. Okay, as stated, the tribunal panel led by lawyer George Uhuru, sitting with Juliana Cherere, IEBC Vice Chairperson, and Commission Boya Mulu. The tribunal added that Mr. Sakaja's clearance was in accordance with the law and neither Mr. Gogo nor IEBC can be faulted for clearing him. But it appears there could be. IEBC could be right in what they're saying. They don't have the tools. It's not there in their mandate. It does not fall within their scope of work to authenticate this, because as Douglas has reminded us, the National Qualifications Authority, that is its work. The Commission of University Education, that is its work. So who is sleeping on the job here should truly be found that Sakaja does not have this degree?
Miriam, to be honest, I'll start by saying that Kenya, we know things are very corrupt. And we've got not only Sakaja, we've got so many leaders in these positions who have got very fake papers, but actually they're acting as MPs, governors, etc. So it's not only Sakaja, and if they decide to dig deeper, we can find that there are so many. And I like the way Douglas has said that we got somebody like Moi. He was the president for so long and he never had any education papers. Let's call a spade here, Miriam. There's some people, members of parliament, and there's some others governors.
It is a requirement by the law for them to have it. So we either scrap that from the law or we adhere by the law, I think.
Yes, Miriam, very true. Yes, this is my point now. We can, somebody like Sakaja, we are not sure whether he had got the papers or not, because they have said they don't have the tools to show whether he graduated or went to the university or not. But Miriam, here, let's speak the truth. Somebody like Sakaja, we are not sure, and yet we have somebody who got 3 degrees, another 7 PhDs, but they can't stand up and explain themselves. They can't up in a debate and give up a full motion. We can see that somebody like Sakaja with no papers, he can outbid some of these leaders we have. So we can see that the credibility here, I mean, it is lacking in most leaders, not only about the papers, Miriam. And I loved somebody who tweeted and said, nowadays education, I mean, about the papers, yes, it's a requirement, but when we dig deeper, Miriam, some of these people with no papers, they reason better more than those people with papers. It's a requirement, yes, Miriam. But at the same time, I think in the next constitution, it should be indicated that if you are vying for positions in our government, you should do a particular course, Miriam, because in Kenya, as long as you have a degree, as long as you have a paper, you can be an MP, you can be a governor. That's why you can see even these people, some of them expressing themselves is an issue, because they just have the paper for the sake of having a paper. I think in the next constitution, it should be said that if you want to become a governor or maybe a member of parliament, then these are the for example, if you are doing commerce, if you want to be a news anchor, you have to do mass communication, you have to do journalism. Then that should be the case also in our parliament. I mean, in our government, they have to have a specific course, because communication also is becoming wanting in most of these members.
Okay, but I believe any kind of course you take, I think helps. I don't think there's any that is better than the other. I think depends on what you want to do in life. But all these help you to better comprehend. So as much as what I hear the two of you saying is valid, we had Moi who ruled this country, but we know how he ruled this country, and history is still judging him. But we cannot wish away the place of education in this country and the need for it for our leaders. So maybe we should review the criteria, but I think education is paramount. And the crafters of the 2010 Constitution, the MCAs, I think they script that. The ones who are vying right now do not require that, or even the members of parliament, I think, do not require that right now. But these are people, the MCAs have responsibilities that those city council did not have. They have to formulate these laws in the counties. You can't formulate something you can't comprehend. You must have some level of understanding what you're doing to legislate properly. And that's why it's important for these people to have an education. You can't make laws that you cannot understand yourself. So that is why this is a requirement by our constitution. So we cannot wish away. We cannot wish away the position. And I know you've mentioned, even in journalism, you've given an example, you have to have that. Personally, I started working as a journalist without a journalism, qualification. But I went to journalism school, and I can tell you the difference when I was working without going to journalism school, and after I went to journalism school and I graduated. So I can tell you the difference. There's a difference. So people need to go to school, okay? People need to go to school. We can't wish away. But if you want to remove this as part of the requirement in our constitution, then I think that is a conversation we have to have as a people of this country. But as it stands, it is a requirement. The fact that other people get these degrees in dubious ways and don't really go through the education system, that is a different matter altogether. We cannot justify, that. So because people are going to get dubious degrees, so now let's just scrape this requirement. These people know very well, you're supposed to qualify for you to have this job. These are the pre-qualifications. So they're supposed to prepare in time. And we love using Safaricom all the time here. If Safaricom has advertised for a position, they clearly underline the requirements. So if I look at these requirements and I see I don't meet the criteria, I will not bother to apply. So why are we cutting some slack for these people who have a bigger responsibility for this country? Why are we doing that? Why are we lowering the bar so low for them? Douglas says you've raised your hand. Douglas, I've seen you raise your hand. You want to say something? Okay. I think his network might not be so good, but we know as we speak. Of course, the agency said Mr. Gogo couldn't disbelieve the degree certificate presented by Mr. Sakaja, who has also been summoned to appear before the Commission of University Education, CUE, and Directorate of Criminal Investigations today to prove he attended Team University and graduated in October 2016. CUE, that is the Commission of University Education, and this year want the senator to provide his letter of admission, proof of coursework, transcripts for every semester, and a graduation booklet with his name on it, as well as graduation photos. The Director of Public Prosecutions directed the Inspector General of Police to carry out speed investigations, establish the authenticity of Mr. Sakaja's degree, and present a report. So the burden on whether Sakaja is unqualified lies with the complainant who alleged he is unfit to vie for governorship in Nairobi, ruled IEBC. So the people who took this case challenging Sakaja's degree authenticity, these are the people who now must go and prove that Sakaja didn't graduate. So the burden of proof has been thrown to them. Okay. All right. Douglas, you wanted to say something, but if not, then we can move on to the next matter. And bishops are now hitting out at unethical leaders. Catholic bishops have hit out at political leaders with weird manifestos, especially those pushing for the legalization of marijuana. They've asked Kenyans to be wary of leaders seeking to promote immoral and unethical policies which will break the social fabric of the country. Nyeri Archbishop Anthony Muheria yesterday urged Kenyans to stand up against politicians supporting abortion and drug use. Let us keep this in mind, that for our nation to thrive, it must be founded on ethical and moral grounds, he said at Our Lady of Consolata Cathedral in Nyeri. So obviously the bishop was hitting out at presidential aspirant candidate now, Wajakoya, who we know one of his key highlights in his manifesto is growing marijuana for, I think, export, from what I understand. I don't know what you make of this position by the church, Douglas.
Thank you, Miriam. I also had a point to make over the other issue of Sakaja.
Yes, go ahead.
We need to, as a country, when political leaders, before they get to a political office, they need, before they go for induction when they win the elective seats, they need to go for an induction courses at the School of Government at about 6 months to 1 year, so that they can be trained on what leadership is, governance, and the budget, and all that, anything that pertains to leadership. Because at the end of the day, Miriam, we cannot wish education away, but they need to be trained in their line of work. Because when you tell us, get a degree, and someone comes with a degree in theology, or just anything, degree in fishery, and because they just want to become governor. And these are the same people who continue compromising procurement laws, who continue compromising financial departments, and compromise development of their wards, and also counties, and also, if he's a president, you compromise projects by kickbacks and all that. We need to do a thorough training, like we said before. We do not need we need a comprehensive training for leaders. If you want to become a politician, we need something like a school of leadership, where you go at the Kenya School of Government and train before you run for political office. And when you win your elective post, you take another 3 months for induction so that you can be trained into the system. And I'll give a good example with the provincial administration, from assistant chief to the regional commissioner, because that is the highest, and then the PS for interior. That is the highest rank you can be able to rise to. After an assistant chief, you can rise to the PS of interior, or chief secretary in the Ministry of Interior. They get into these trainings from day one, and until they leave office, they have been trained into the system. They know how to run a government. They know how to do everything that pertains to that particular job. For example, if a chief is about to be promoted, they are taken to the Kenya School of Government and they are trained on a job of a DO. And from the DO, they are trained to a job of a DC before they take over those functions. You cannot take someone from the village and just give them a DC's office, because they need to be trained on that particular job and its line and everything that and service and industry that they have to offer the people of Kenya. If we do that kind of a training, Miriam, a specific kind of a training for these political leaders, because I do not understand the relationship between someone with a degree in biology or fishery or forestry has to do with political leadership, that has to do with budgets, has to do with procurement, has to do with human resource, and you have to be the end of all those departments, and maybe the buck stops with you, the governor of Meru or governor of Nairobi or Mombasa. We need a specific kind of a leadership training that inducts these people into the system, or maybe the workings of that office. For example, if President Moi, when he came to the fore in 1979, after the passing of former President Jomo Kenyatta, the first president of the Republic of Kenya, I know he didn't know the functions of a president, or maybe the running of the country, pacifying the peace of this nation in 1979, like he knew in 1999 or 2001 when he was, or 2000 when he was leaving office in 2002. He had gone the full cycle and also got enough training, and also trained himself and all that. When President Uhuru Kenyatta won in 2013, Isaiah Kabira, the PS in the office of the president, I think so, the presidential spokesperson, maybe something, I don't remember his position in the office of the president. He was asked where is the president. He said the president has become the man of the document. I remember and quote his words. I reminded him the other day when I met him in his village in a public function. He said the president has become a man of the document. He is reading a lot on how to run a country, on how to govern, and how to become a better president, and how to become a better leader. And he was asked another time. He said, I answered that question 2 months ago. The president has become a man of the document. So he is always reading and also producing documents and all that. And that's what I've been saying, Miriam, that the fact that I've said that university degree requirement should be scrapped in the constitution, I did not say that education is not important, but I'm saying they need education that is specific to their task today, Miriam. For example, if you take a radio presenter or a comedian and give him the office of the president, you take commander to State House. We need to have a specific kind of training for these leaders, Miriam, because I do not understand how you go ahead and comprehend issues that contain that contain about your office, and also issues that pertain your particular mandate, when you cannot be able to comprehend budgetary process, procurement processes, and everything that pertains to your office, Miriam.
Douglas, I think also Gladwell, I think that is what Gladwell, you're adding to what Gladwell said. Gladwell, that is what you were saying. And I think you brought up the issue of Kenya School of Government. Like when you look at their course outline, I agree with you. A lot of these leaders perhaps need to take some courses there just to equip them, to equip them. And I don't know, you've given an example. If somebody went and studied fishery and stuff, and then they are supposed to come and, you're not just taught. Like I said, I went to journalism school. You're not just taught about journalism and how to produce and how to edit and how to speak. I also did a course on entrepreneurship. I also did a course on it's part of the unit. So you're not just studying about this, but you look at other aspects of this trade that could be helpful, that others have really nothing to do with journalism, but just to equip you. So I don't know, but I do agree with you. We do need that. But I want you now to answer this, the bishop, because I want us to move on. There are other issues I want us to talk about. The bishop's thoughts on Wajakoya's manifesto.
I understand Wajakoya is a bit radical, and this country is a bit, we are conservative concerning some issues. There are things that you cannot even speak with your parents. There are things, for example, if I started smoking marijuana today, I cannot wake up and tell my mother, Mom, I started smoking marijuana. I started drinking alcohol and all that. There are things that from even the family level in this country have been made to be very, 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 very abrasive, and also very abomination. It's an abomination to be able even to mention it at the family level and all that. But we need to also look outside. We need to think outside the box and also look for an outsider's kind of a mindset for us to be able to solve the problems that have been able to bedevil this country. Professor George Wajakoya says that we can be able to farm marijuana and export it for medicinal use in other countries and be able to offset our debts and take our country to a road of prosperity. And as Professor Wajakoya was saying in his manifesto, a country, Virat, I think, tried their first public pilot project by the ministry or the minister, or I think it's the Minister of Health or Agriculture, who distributed seeds of marijuana. And they want to do a test on the same or a pilot project so that they can be able to start doing commercial farming of marijuana for export and also make sure that they have been able to get rid of their country's debts and all that and take their country to a road to a prosperity. We can be able to farm marijuana. What Professor is not giving is the guidelines on how to do commercial or maybe exports only marijuana farming. But the buck does not stop with the Professor George Wajakoya. Those are his political promises. It is up to the concerned ministries to give the guidelines and also to put up regulations and also at the policy level be able to develop a roadmap or a program that can be able to be utilized by farmers so that they can be able to also regulate how this marijuana does not get misused and also how this marijuana does not affect our children. The bishops need to have a different perspective. For example, if you told a bishop today, instead of relying on the salary that they get from the commission that has given them a job, maybe the Catholic Church or the other denominations in the country, write a book, maybe do farming, buy a vehicle and all that, they would call that exploiting the Christian community and all that. But if you thought outside the box, it's something that can be able to help them and maybe save them and save the people that take care of them, the disadvantage of not being able to take care of the flock of God or the shepherds of God's people. But if Professor Wajakoya's issues are interrogated carefully, Miriam, they can also be I'm not saying marijuana is the solution to all economic problems that have developed this country and the debts that we have gotten ourselves into in this country. But for us to be able to take ourselves out of the rattle, we need to be able to think outside the box, like Professor Wajakoya is saying. We need to try these things, Miriam. Have we tried and they failed and our children started that and then we stopped and banned it out forever in this country? We need to try new things, Miriam, for us to move on as a country. Okay. I agree with the Professor Wajakoya. We need to think outside the box, and also bishops should also be lenient enough for us to be able to try new things in this country. For example, we recommend the new president who comes after the 9th of August to be able to implement these things, Miriam, because if we do not do these things, Miriam, how do we solve our economic problems? Thank you.
I did not know you supported Jakoya on that. I'm actually surprised this morning, Douglas, but thank you. Gladwell, the church, especially this Bishop Anthony Moheria, is saying we should not vote for these leaders with what he calls weird manifestos.
Miriam, I'll start by saying I also support Wajakoya, by the way, on what he's saying, because as Kenyans, we have an issue with understanding things. Wajakoya, it's only that he's not giving the way forward of how that the marijuana he wanted to be planted on how it is going to be used, and Kenyans are misusing it and saying that we are going to be smoking it. There's a difference between you wanting to consume it and us using it for economic growth, because what he wants is that we grow it and we are able to offset actually the debts that we have. And he hopes that our economy will be back, because Miriam, to be honest, even with the next government that is coming, trust to me, within even the first year, the economy won't be back to the way it was. No, it won't, because we have loans that even an unborn child is paying. Again, Miriam, now let me highlight on this issue of the church. Miriam, the church has become a business nowadays. Leave alone the bishop who said that we should not be supporting this. For instance, yesterday, Miriam, there's a church here whereby a deputy president went, and you can see the banner they even actually highlighted during the whole service. His whole picture was up there. So you can see leadership, the church leadership, where it is going. The church itself has taken sides. And that's why you can see a Catholic church currently with another church, they can't see eye to eye because they have decided to take charge politically. They have decided to take positions that a particular church, Catholic were supporting this one, Anglicans were this one. No, that does not work as a church. A church can't have sides. A church is a place whereby anybody can walk in, you get a blessing or a curse. But the church itself has failed. Let's start from there. So before the bishop starts saying that we should not support, can they start themselves? Can they stop being divided? Because the church has become a business and it has become divided. So they first start with themselves before coming to us as citizens. And that's why, Miriam, nowadays you're finding that most people are not even going to church. I listened to an elderly person saying that she could not miss mass, but nowadays he or she does not attend to a church. Reason being, when the preacher is preaching, instead of you saying we're praying for our country to have peace and we pray for good governance coming next election, the bishop is standing there saying that if you vote for so and so, then our country won't develop. So the church has also decided to take a chance and to take part in this political thing, which should not be happening. A church should be very neutral in political affairs. Actually, they should not be supporting anybody, but actually coming out and saying, can the youth stop being used by this politician? Can we have a peaceful election? And the so and so is not doing well, instead of them taking sides, Miriam.
All right. And speaking about the church, before we get to those ugly scenes that happened at Jacaranda grounds yesterday, President Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday steered clear of politics during the 100th anniversary celebrations by Akarino Church at Kasarani, Nairobi. This was despite the presence of Azimio la Umoja One Kenya presidential candidate Raila Odinga and his running mate Martha Karua, whom he has previously endorsed to succeed. It was also unlike the president's previous engagements with the church, where he has always openly discussed politics. Instead, President Kenyatta said he would find another day to give political direction to the church. However, disrupted his speech and invited Raila and Karua to address the congregants. The president dished out 5 state appointments to members of the church and a title deed for a 5-acre piece of land in Naivasha Municipal worth 100 million Kenya shillings. He gave a personal donation of 11 million Kenya shillings to support the church's projects across the country, citing their support throughout his political journey. So President Kenyatta did not bring politics. So a lot of times, President Kenyatta tries to stay clear of politics, especially when he's attending church services and sometimes funeral services. I've seen him try to be disciplined compared to Raila, Ruto, and others who sometimes they don't know where not to politicize or to speak politics. But as much as President Uhuru Kenyatta steered clear of politics yesterday, as they were part of the celebration where Akarino Church was marking 100 years and 100th anniversary in the celebrations yesterday in Kasarani. But some of these things he gave, I mean, what are they political things? I mean, what do you make of them? And the fact that Raila and Karua were there, and he stopped his speech to invite them to speak, as much as he's steering clear of politics. But what do you make of that, Douglas?
Thank you, Miriam. I had something small to add on why I've changed my mind on Wajakoya. Mm-hmm. It's because Raila has been able to do a pilot project over the same, and if it's our country that is doing that, I would be very happy for us to embrace progressive ideas or ideas that can be able to transform our country. Before, I didn't get that perspective of countries embracing mass farming, mass export farming of marijuana in their countries. Mm-hmm. But when I saw that, I changed my mind concerning the radical ideas from Professor George Wajakoya.
Have you also embraced the snake farming? Because yes, even that, when you look...
I've embraced the snake farming so that you can be able to export them after...
Okay.
Yes. And then export the meat to China and other countries that are snake-eating countries.
Well, we do have people who eat snakes in this country. Do you remember that news piece by, I think, NTV a couple of months ago? People from Turkana. Yeah, people in Turkana, they just... Anyway, go ahead.
Miriam, I can't eat snakes.
Okay. But go ahead. President Uhuru Kenyatta says yesterday, when Akorino was celebrating 100 years being as a church.
Miriam, the president's history with the Akorino Church is a wrong history. It's a history that it transcends generations to the first president and also to his father, the President Jomo Kenyatta, the first president of the Republic of Kenya. That's where the history of the Akorino Church and the Kenyattas began. And the president is very, very, very attached to that particular church. Except that he's the president of the Republic of Kenya, I think he would have a turban by now. He would have an Akorino turban by now on his head, because those are people who have particularly followed his direction. These are people who have supported him since he was an MP, and they have always prayed for him. They have gone ahead and also displayed and livened royalty to him and his political causes, including when they are doubting these political causes, Miriam. A good example is this same church, the Akorino Church, is the same church the president had to go and be able to speak his mind over the many political conmanship that we have seen being displayed in churches and all that. And since then, Miriam, we've seen the Akorino took aside and also decided that politicians are not going to misuse the Christian community in the name of the Akorino Church and all that. I also believe when I listened to the speech of the president has always been very thankful and began to show it directly to them by donating a 5-acre piece of land worth 100 million, and also give another 1 million. And Miriam, his support for that particular congregation can be political and not political. It was as a reward of their political support for him over the years, Miriam. And also, it can be interpreted this way. He was giving them that support so that when he needs them, he will call upon them like he has always called upon them in the past, Miriam. The Akorino Church is a church that is very dear to the heart of the President of the Republic of Kenya, and he has always done very well steering off the politics, Miriam. But we should also remember that when he wanted to cut the political life of people who had also made sure that they have inhabited churches and all that, he had to do it in an annual Akorino conference at Kasarani, the same podium he was studying at from Miriam yesterday, the same podium that he was gifting them the land to build something for their church and also to support the mission of the Akorino Church. It is the same podium that he used to politically in 2019 to be able to speak his mind, Miriam. It is the same podium that he has used over the years to ask for support. It is the same podium of the Akorino National Conference to be able to speak the political direction he would want the Akorino to follow him and other fellow Kenyans, Miriam. So it was very political, spiritual, and also and very personal because of his relationship with the Akorino people, Miriam. Mm-hmm. I believe that from yesterday's actions of the President of the Republic of Kenya, mm-hmm. as much as he is forming an image of a president that doesn't want to get into confrontational politics in the church podiums and all that, he set the agenda yesterday, invited the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, Senior Counsel Mother Karua, to go and speak to the people, to the Akorino Church. As I can see it, the political leader of the Akorino Church is President Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, he added over the role that he had played in them, and also added over the instruments that he has been able to control with the Akorino particular function of people in the Republic of Kenya, to Right Honorable Raila Odinga and Mother Karua to continue the same legacy. If you listen to the president carefully, he told the people, he told the Akorino National Conference that Christianity is about actions, is not about you making yourself deputy president. He wanted to show the political class that I have added over Raila Odinga, the church that has supported me consistently, mm-hmm. and he should not be a rod over them. He should be a servant of the people, listen to their issues, and all that. And honestly, Miriam, by the embrace that the Akorino did from there and the state appointment that they got for one of their own, mm-hmm. these people are not going to abandon the president. And I am to also look outside the president just appearing there with Raila. Okay. He has never appeared there with Raila before, Mother Karua before, because they had different political persuasions. But he also wanted to show them, these are the people that I trust. If he really wanted to give them a political direction that says it's William Ruto or any other person, he would have asked them to write Ruto, Raila, Mudavadi, and Kalonzo to accompany him the same way he does in state dinners at the State House before they actually fell out with William Ruto completely. He would invite all of them around 5 principles or 6 principles. But yesterday, he took Mother Karua, took the Jubilee leadership, and took the ODM leadership, some of the ODM leadership to them, to show them that this is the right man that I want to take over after me, a man that will follow my steps and also make sure that the Akorino Church is in the right hands, Miriam. It was political, personal, and also, I think, spiritual. Thank you.
All right. And speaking about personal, President Kenyatta said that if anyone asks you to remove the turban, tell them no. This is who we are, and this is how we shall always be. Probably when I proceed on retirement, I will also wrap my head with one. I would like to see that, President Kenyatta. I would like to see that. And of course, Raila acknowledged the contribution of the Akorino in the struggle for independence. Akorino started as a freedom fighting group. Some perished due to their religious beliefs, while others fought for independence. The generations have prospered and continue to spread the gospel. Our founding father, Jomo Kenyatta, showed us the significance and importance of the Akorino. That is what Raila said. And Ruto, not Ruto, but Martha Karua, she said, my captain, Raila, and I ask for your prayers and that this country remains a law-abiding one. So they steered off politics, but the mere presence that they were there, as much as they steered off politics, I mean, it was a political statement there, Gladwell, don't you think?
Miriam, to be honest, yesterday I was able to listen to what Uhuru said. And I'll start by saying, as he handed over the money, the 10 million first, there's something he said. He said, my family and I. Mm-hmm. Not Raila and I, said my family and I, we humbly give out the 10 million. Then he added another 1 million. And when he was given out the title deed, the 5 acres, there's something he told them, can you use this land not only for your generation, but the next generation? Can you make useful of it? And again, when he was inviting Mother to speak, he did not say that the deputy president or the running mate to Raila. No, he said as I was passing by, as I was about to sit, I saw my sister. So let me invite her to speak. So you can see yesterday the president actually tried to keep politics apart. And I can say that President Uhuru is a good student of the late Emilio Kibaki, because also Kibaki was avoiding politics in church also. And yesterday it was evident that is what he did. He actually did not say that Raila Odinga, the Azimio president, or maybe Mother, the running mate. No, he said as I was passing by sitting, I saw my sister. So let me invite her to speak. Yes, again, what Mother said yesterday, referring to Raila, he referred to him as my captain. Let me invite my captain. So they also tried to keep politics. Actually, yesterday, something for the first time I can commend actually Raila, despite him giving him a history of how the Akorino fought for the freedom, and most of them actually they lost their lives. Again, Miriam, I also support Uhuru on what you said, that let's not, for example, there's a school I won't mention. They have been chasing students away who have been having the Taliban on, the turban on, and because it's a Catholic school, and many students have been sent home because of the turban. Yes. So yes, I actually agree, because Miriam, we can't say because you're Catholic school that an Akorino student should not be admitted there. No, that's not our country. That's not the democracy we have in our country. Every student, every person has a right to go to wherever you want to feel you can qualify to stay. For example, we have a church along Thika Road, the Visitation Retreat Center. Every person walks in there, whether you have a turban on, whether you are Seventh Day, everybody there, people have got testimonies, they've been healed there. And actually it's a Catholic church, but it is open to everybody who feels like you want to go surrender your life there, you want to go cry there. Yes, it is there. So I actually support what yesterday our president said.
All right, so we should not discriminate anybody based on their religious beliefs. And I think President Kenyatta said that, even the people, Kenyans of the Muslim, the Islamic faith, their girls have to cover up, and they're allowed to attend schools and other public places like that. So in the same fashion, we should not discriminate against the Akorino religion. Okay, thank you. So that is where and of course, as you said there, his sister Martha also covered her hair, I think, as a show of respect of what was happening yesterday. But I just look forward to seeing President Kenyatta having that turban on, because he said he might just do that. I'll be waiting to see that. Okay, let's move on to another story on page 9 on the The Standard newspaper, Deputy President William Ruto yesterday accused his political rivals of inciting youths to cause violence in political rallies. Dr. Ruto said his opponents were panicking and had resorted to hiring goons to disrupt Kenya Kwanza rallies. The polls in August will be for change and that of making better the lives of Kenyans. The days of politics of violence are long gone. He said he spoke after police dispersed a pro-Kenya Kwanza youths and Embakasi East MP Member of Parliament Babu Owino supporters from Jacaranda grounds in Embakasi, Nairobi, following a dispute over which side should hold a rally at the venue. This was after the factions clashed, leaving at least 2 people injured, including Embakasi East UDA aspirant Francis Muraithi. A contingent of anti-riot police was deployed to the grounds to avert the clash after Kenya Kwanza and Babu Owino claimed to have booked the venue. Speaking to the Standard on the telephone, Embakasi Sub-County Police Commander Makau Masai said there will be no political activities at that venue. But Kayole Sub-County Police Commander Paul Wambugu said the Kenya Kwanza event was to go on as planned and the heavy police presence at the venue was for security reasons. And so the ugly scenes that happened yesterday at Jacaranda grounds, I don't know what you make of that. Douglas.
Miriam, I've always spoken about political tolerance from whatever political divide that you belong to, and it is very unfortunate. I'm setting my sympathies to the MP aspirant Francis Muraithi of the UDA party or Kenya Kwanza, that is who is running in Embakasi East constituency. And also, I also want to regret the actions by the police to grant the same permit they granted to Muraithi to Babu Owino. And through political competition, Miriam, you do not begrudge the idea of Babu Owino going out of his way to book an event for himself and the constituents based on the fact that he is the MP for the area. Maybe he had something to do, but we have seen those political tricks being played before in our country. People would go ahead, even in 2017 elections and 2013, would book an event venue, and the same venue would be allocated to your opponent. I believe that the police officers that were in charge of granting those permits did wrong, and it is not right. They should be warned against doing the same again in Embakasi East constituency. Remember, these people are bragging and also destroying property and all that. There are people whose property and life should be protected, and that is the people of Kenya. The ambition of Francis Muraithi and also Deputy President William Ruto and Babu Owino cannot equal to the life and property of the people of Embakasi East or any other constituency in this country. Remember, Miriam, when these police officers crash these permits and make sure that Francis Muraithi's permit and Babu Owino's permit crash with each other, they make a room for the chaos that we saw yesterday. If Babu Owino tells his that if next week their permits for the venues are going to crash again, he is going to be injured more and maybe be killed. So I'm asking Kenyans to remain tolerant with each other's ambitions and also supporters of various political functions. If you are in Kenya Kwanza or UDA, stick there. Do not interrupt a meeting that is supposed to be led by Azimio la Umoja, led by Raila Odinga. Let's have peaceful elections and also our leaders to be responsible. I'm cautioning also Babu Owino and others. Please, if your opponent has booked a venue, don't go ahead and do the same. You can book it for tomorrow or another day. You can always speak about your political ambitions. You can always market your political candidate without antagonizing the people of Kenya. Remember, Miriam, Francis Muraithi is a millionaire. He's going to take care of himself. I've always advocated for the poor people. I've always spoken about them and for them and for their welfare and for their good. If these people in Embakasi East constituency, the poor people that attended these political rallies, we didn't see Francis Muraithi and his wife and children. We didn't see Babu Owino and his children. Maybe they were tucked somewhere in their beds or their coaches in Kilimani and Ravington and Runda. But Francis Muraithi has supporters in Embakasi East constituency, the Oroi Poroi of this country. If Babu Owino was courageous enough, he would have sent the wife and children to come and fight Moredi's supporters and Moredi in Mbakazi yesterday, Miriam. It is uncalled, it is uncalled for, and it is also very disappointing to see when we are talking about peace, integration, and also making sure that our country moves forward. We have people in this country who keep taking us behind, and also making sure that at the end of the day, the same people who want us to have peaceful elections are the perpetrators of violence and chaos as we saw yesterday, and this is uncalled for, Miriam. And I believe that the relevant authorities are going to investigate and bring a stop to this nonsense and chaos and violence that we saw yesterday. But at the end of the day, Miriam, when the push comes to the shove, the responsibility to protect yourself belongs to you. Security starts with you as an individual. Security starts with you by looking after your neighbors and also making sure that you yourself, you're not used by these political brokers and also politicians and the politicals in the country. People like William Ruto who live a very secluded life from the world. You think you are a fellow Asera and is a person that has been a deputy president for 10 years, an MP for over that years. This is a leader that the people should be shunned when they are told to be able to protect Miriam. You cannot protect someone that is even being protected by the state itself, Miriam. Okay. At the end of the day, Miriam, the people of Kenya should be guaranteed of a peaceful life to property and a protection of their property and life by the constitution as it is envisaged, even by the police officers that are charged with the security matters in this country, Miriam. Okay, thank you.
Very well. Thank you so much, Gladwell. Your thoughts on the standoff and the political intolerance we saw at play yesterday at Jacaranda grounds?
Miriam, I'll start by saying that can Kenyans stop being used by these politicians to hold on their political rallies? You know, Miriam, and I also blame those who issued the permit. Miriam, you know, as you issue the permit, you also need to look at the maturity of that person. For instance, and I mean well, by the way, but we know, we definitely know that he can't hold a rally peacefully. That is for sure, Miriam. And we got others who are opponent. Yes, we got an UDA person and an Azimio aspirant who can hold a rally in the same place peacefully. So also as you issue a permit, can you look at the person you're issuing the permit to, Miriam? Again, I also urge these Kenyans and most of the youths, the person you're fighting for doesn't even recognize you, doesn't even know you, just need your vote and that is it all. As you sleep hungry, you're also tamarking for your family to feed. That person is actually living a lavish life. So can you know your worth as a Kenyan, as a youth? Can you know what you're fighting for? There's some things you say they're worth fighting for and others they're not. You can never fight for a politician, Miriam. That politician doesn't recognize you, doesn't even know the house you're staying in. No, but then you fight, you get killed or you get injured. It is your family that is going to struggle to take you to the hospital. That politician or that MP or the whoever actually flied to Nairobi Women's or Nairobi Hospital to get better treatment. You'll just be there queuing in another hospital whereby the doctor is very rude to you, asking you why you went to fight for somebody who doesn't recognize you. Know your worth as a Kenyan, know your worth as a youth.
All right, thank you so much. And that is where we end our show this morning as we give way to our next show. Thank you so much, Douglas Kirimi. Thank you, Gladwell Kirago. Sorry, my name is Miriam. Go to this has been Good Morning Africa. Good morning.